stuff, and we'll make it interesting and enjoyable throughout. So some of you might be wondering, why listen to this guy anyway? Well, when I'm not swinging from the trees making TikToks for our company TikTok, you can find us on @WhatAdvertising. We're working really, really hard on our client accounts, and what that has really looked like for us in 2021 has been absolutely phenomenal. You've just got me swinging from the tree again, but that's fine. We've done dozens of account audits for our clients. We've managed over 30 accounts for our clients. We generated last year $1.4 million in revenue for them, which is an absolutely massive win. And we've done that profitably at an 8x return on ad spend, which has been absolutely phenomenal. So what we have going into 2022 is a big goal. We're going to be generating $50 million in revenue for our clients. And we want to be doing that at a profitable return on ad spend of 6x or higher as well. So that's where we've been, that's where we're heading. And we've got a lot of really juicy stuff to get into. And if you're any way associated with the agency world, then you might have heard some of this stuff before, but repetition is the mother of skill. So pay attention. If there's stuff in there that you've heard before, think about it from a new perspective and see where you can really approach it from a new angle. And for those of you where this is new to you, then hopefully it's just all really juicy, good, high quality stuff that you can take action on with your business or your client's business in the near future. So over the next hour, we're going to be getting into a few different things. First of all, we're going to look at where is Google Ads as the industry heading? Where are the opportunities? What's the wave looking like? Why even invest any time here? And then we're going to start getting into some of the things that we're seeing regularly when we're working on our clients' accounts. And we're really getting into the meat there of what we're seeing regularly that's getting results for people. So we're going to, first of all, at that point, be looking into where you can really focus on the results that you want for your clients. And then once we've laid that foundation, we're going to focus on how to make sure that those results that you're measuring are actually getting profitable in your Google Ads account for your business or your client's business. Then we're going to switch gears, getting into where's the juice, getting into the creative part of Google Ads, which is my favorite part. And also talking about less emotional aspect of Google Ads, the cold calculated killer AI. We're going to make sure that that AI does not kill you or your credit card, but you can work hand in hand with it to get excellent results for your Google Ads. And then we're also going to just touch on some points where we've often seen people's Google Ads accounts getting stripped of their cash by Google in various aspects. And we're just going to point out some places in Google Ads accounts where you can stop that from happening. All right, so what I'm going to do first is we're going to take a road trip back to 2019 when I got started in digital marketing. At this point in time, I put the business that I was working on the back burner, and that was in website development for medical practices. But I had my eyes fixed on digital marketing. I saw that there were big things ahead with it, that it was a hopping, full, valuable market, and that businesses were really needing to get online. So rumor has it that this is actual footage of me driving around the digital marketing landscape. And as I was driving around, looking at all the options that were available, trying to keep away from the monkey business where possible, I'm sorry, I took a left turn into Google Ads because I saw that there was so much more opportunity there than with any other platform that was available. And how I determined that was pretty interesting. I had to look at the different platforms that are available and the number of advertisers that were on it, the number of businesses and agencies that were really taking advantage of Google Ads, the power that it has, and how that can impact their businesses. And the proof is in the pudding. The number of people that are using the service usually is an indicator of how valuable it is. So right at the top, we have over 4 million people that are advertising on Google. People are businesses. And then the close runner-up, which is less close than you think, is Facebook. And that includes Instagram as well. So advertisers on Facebook and Instagram are half as many as you have advertising on Google. And then you've got some runners-up like Twitter but nothing's really coming close to Google. So when I looked into the market, I saw Google as the main opportunity there. Like Google's top of the pile, still is today. And you might be wondering, okay, Google's great, but you've got multiple aspects, right? You've got the SEO aspect, the organic, and then you've also got the paid ads, which is obviously what we're specializing in and what we're going to be teaching you about today. Now, I dabbled a bit in SEO to begin with, but I really got into Google Ads when I found out that of all the searches that people search on Google, half of them leads to a click on an ad, which is way higher than I expected, but it is the case. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to focus on the half of Google that gets quick results and the most measurable results as well. And beyond that, I also wanted to focus on Google Ads because that's everything that Google builds their whole business around. So in 2021, 2020 rather, $147 billion of Google's revenue came from Google Ads, which is over 80% of their revenue. So this is where all the research, all the development's going in for Google. You'll have seen ads on Google get more and more developed. You'll have seen these shopping ads come up that are super relevant. Google can pretty much read your mind these days. Google can know you better than you know yourself when it comes to your shopping behavior and what you want to get in terms of value when you're searching for something on Google. So that was pretty cool. I thought, okay, where is it going and where are we now? And so we did a bit more digging, and I want to see in the chat here, Shalane, you'll need to shout this out. I can't see the chat. I want to see some guesses for what the global digital advertising ad spend is expected to grow by in 2022.
Okay, everyone type in your guesses. Is it a percentage?
As a percentage, yes, I should have said. So as a percentage.
We've got 5 billion, we've got 10x, 30%.
30%?
40%.
Wow.
60%.
Well, I know that all of you are visionaries for sure. Not quite as high as that. We're actually in the single digits here. But for
20%, 5%.
Okay, 5%, between the 5 and 20% is closest. So it's 9% that Reuters estimates that global digital advertising spend. So that's everything. That's Google, that's Facebook, that's Snapchat, that's every aspect of digital advertising ad spend is expected to grow by in 2022. Now that's everything. And I've just gone on about how Google's the top and the biggest part of that pie. And so I was thinking, okay, in 2020, we knew that there was $147 billion in revenue that Google personally, not personally, but as a company generated for themselves from the revenue that they got from people running ads. And I was looking at the figures for 2021 and it was kind of hard to find. So I did a bit of investigative work and I found a rough number for you guys. So I looked at some really good resources. I found one or two of Google's quarterly reports. I added it all up. And the figure we came to was $178 billion in 2021, which compared to 2020 is a 21% increase. So that 20% mark, if you're thinking about Google Ads, is pretty much dead on. Which is phenomenal growth. And when that compounds, that is just astronomical growth. It's pretty much exponential. And so to put that in perspective, from when Google Ads started around 2003, it's just been incredible growth. It's just been like this. So here's the growth. I don't think it's going to slow down. It seems like Google's been in our life forever, but this technology is super, super new. And there's still a large future ahead. I think we're really near the beginning of the industry still. And with COVID, a lot more people have put their businesses online and realized the value inherently within Google Ads. So if I've not convinced you yet with how powerful this is and the wave that's going, I'm going to jump over to another example for you. Last Thursday, I wanted to see how many people were posting jobs for digital marketing. And so I filtered it and I was like, okay, digital marketing jobs posted in the last 24 hours. And it was 13,000 in the last 24 hours. And that was on Thursday. And that's a huge number of jobs. It's massive, is larger than most industries at the moment. It's a hugely in-demand career at the moment. And most of these positions are actually getting unfilled. People are coming out of college and university, and they need to be trained from the ground up in digital marketing. So for all of you here, I want to say a big congratulations, because by taking the time to learn a bit more about this, digital marketing and Google Ads, one of the biggest parts of digital marketing, by learning a bit more about that, you're going to become even more invaluable in your businesses or the clients that you're helping over the next few months. So thank you very much for taking the time. It's going to be very valuable, and stay engaged with what's happening in the industry, because it's massive, it's moving very, very quickly, and it's growing. So is everybody here ready to ride the Google Ads wave with me here today? Awesome. Sweet. So what we're going to do first, you're in the right place, by the way, for riding that wave. We're going to focus on the number one thing that we've seen in our clients' accounts from dozens of audits we've performed over the last year or two. And the very first thing that we tend to look at that can use improvement is conversion tracking. The results that we actually want from our Google Ads, the actions that people should take after interacting with one of our ads. Now, of course, when it comes to Google Ads, we just want as many clicks and impressions as possible, right? We want so much traffic. We want to get thousands of clicks and millions of impressions, right? No, we don't. That's not what we want at all, because while that was really good when our main advertising options were like putting stuff on buses or billboards, we are in the future. So we have such high capabilities in being able to track the results that we want, that we don't want to focus on some minor metrics like impressions or clicks, just the people who've seen or minorly interacted with our ad. We want to get and talk to the people who've taken action after interacting with our ad, which is so possible to do. We want to track if people have called up the business or submitted a form on your website or even just made a purchase. So we can track all of those things because it's 2022, and that is well within our power as humanity. So I'm going to take you into a very, very quick dive into what a Google Ads account looks like in terms of conversion tracking, because this is the most important part of a Google Ads account, in my opinion. If you're not tracking the results that you want for your business, then you're not really going to be getting the value that you could be getting out of Google Ads, and you won't really know if the Google Ads that you're running are profitable or not. So first of all, you need to figure out, what is my target? What is the result that I want? And of course, this varies from business to business. If it's a service-based business, then you're probably going for leads more of the time. You're wanting those phone calls, those form submissions. But if you're a business that's selling products online, say you're an e-commerce store, then you're going to be tracking the actual sale itself. So within the Google Ads account, this is what it looks like. You go up to Tools and Settings in the top bar, and you've got a little column there called Measurement, and the very top thing in there is called Conversions, and you want to click on that. And when you're there, you'll see a table that looks something like this, and this is where you'll be storing all of the really, really important actions for your business. And you can have the purchase. You'll see an example of a purchase URL conversion action at the top. But then further down, you'll see some phone numbers as well. I blanked some of that out for confidentiality, but we have many, many options to track the results that we want. And we can track so many things that the very first thing we often say to people is, hey, you're tracking one or two things, but have a think about what else you might want to be tracking for your business when it comes to Google Ads. What interactions are people taking online after they interact with an ad that is really valuable for your business, that you know will ultimately generate revenue and then profit if you're managing that ad spend initially correctly? So just want to draw your attention to that. This is the basis of a lot of what isn't working in Google Ads for people. And this section really is going to supplement what I'm going into next, which is making sure that your Google Ads are really focused on profit and that they're actually putting more money in your pocket than you're putting in. So this is going to be the meatiest and densest part of the presentation. So we've got a little bit of math here, but bear with me. It's very, very important, and we can get into the juicy stuff after that. So I'm going to just throw up some, acronyms on the screen here, which signify very important things when making the base calculations for Google Ads to make sure that they're profitable for your business. First of these is CPA, which stands for cost per acquisition. And that's just how much you are actually paying for that result, that end result that you want when after someone has interacted with your ad in the first place. Next thing is COGS. Those of you who have sold products, you'll know this one fairly well. This is cost of goods sold. So this is very, very important to take into consideration when you're calculating out profitable return on ad spend. Then we've got our return on ad spend itself. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this term, very simply put, it's just the amount of revenue that you get from running ads divided by the amount of ad spend you put in to Google in the first place. So it's a very, very basic division. Now, the calculation that we're going to use here is going to calculate the maximum allowable cost per acquisition. We're going to figure out how much can we spend on Google to get the result that we want. And so how we're going to calculate it is this. We're going to get the average ticket of a particular industry or business. And an average ticket is just like, what's the average sale? So for e-commerce, that could be a physical product. But for a service-based business, that could be something you do to serve your client as a service. So what that looks like is we're going to take that average ticket. We're going to subtract cost of goods sold if it's a product and that's relevant for your business. Less relevant for service-based businesses. And then we're also going to subtract the profit margin as well to get that maximum cost per acquisition that is going to actually be profitable for our business. So I'm going to use an example here of a cycling jersey. Now, we work with a lot of businesses in the cycle space and adventure space in general, and cycle jerseys are higher ticket than you think. You know, on average, some of these can go for like $150 to $200 for a single cycle jersey. They're really, really high end. So what that looks like if we're plugging in, say, $175 for an average cycle jersey into this equation, it's going to look something like this. It's going to be $175. I'm going to subtract the cost of goods sold, $30. And then let's say it's 40% profit margin on top of that, another $70. That's going to leave us with $75. These are just example figures, by the way. I don't own a cycle jersey manufacturing business, so these might be off, but this is just going to illustrate the general idea. So in this example, considering how much we're getting on average for these cycle jerseys and the costs and profit margins associated with that product, we're going to be able to spend $75 to make a sale on that jersey to break even. Now, this is great if you're in a growth mindset and you're happy not making any money on that first customer because you know over the long term the value is going to be great because you know you've got excellent customer service and you're going to sell 5, 6, 7 jerseys to that person over a few years. But some of you will need profit right off the bat. So let's rejig this calculation a little bit to put $5 in your pocket for every jersey sold. Now, we're going to say instead of $75 being the maximum allowable cost per acquisition, it's going to be $70. And what that means is now we can calculate the return on ad spend that we need that's going to be profitable and put money in your pocket every single time with every sale. So back to return on ad spend, that's going to just be the revenue generated divided by the ad spend that we have given to Google. And so what that means is the desired return on ad spend is to be profitable and put money in your pocket every single time is going to be $175 divided by $70. Now we have a special guest with us here today. So if you weren't paying attention before, pay attention now, because in our presence today, we have the prophet of profit. And he has decreed that with this calculation in mind, we will have generated 2.5x return on ad spend and it will have been profitable. That means that money has appeared in your pocket every single time by setting the maximum allowable cost per acquisition and not spending more than that for a single product. Is that making sense? Shalane, I can't see this chat, so you need to update me here. What's going on?
Just some jokes about math and
Oh, good. Excellent.
yeah, it's going good.
Fantastic. So now you'll start to see, okay, if I'm getting a positive return, so like 1.1x or above, I might not necessarily be making money on my Google Ads account. And that's the main distinction you want to be making between return on ad spend and your actual return on investment that you're getting. So you want to do some basic calculations and figure out the return on ad spend that you want to be getting. And the reason I really focus on this is because return on ad spend is really easy to see within Google Ads. So you can calculate the return on ad spend very quickly. And it means you can gauge where your account is at any given point in time. And it means you can look at different parts of your Google Ads account and know, okay, this is getting me a 3x return on ad spend. This is getting me a 5x return on ad spend. 3x isn't profitable for me, so let's turn that stuff off and let's focus on the 5x stuff, for example. So what it looks like in terms of another example is an e-commerce business that we work with at the moment. So we started work with them right at the end of October, and we got things live for them at the beginning of November last year. And so this is up-to-date information on how their Google Ads went from the beginning of November till the end of the year. And I'm going to draw your attention to some of these figures that you'll see, the numbers at the top here. So because Google likes to phrase things a bit differently. So Google doesn't like to make it easy in terms of this is the return on ad spend. So it looks a little bit different, and I want to educate you on that. So in terms of what things look like, in terms of the revenue that you're generating, Google calls that conversion value. So you'll see that with the red background there, $74,000 was generated in actual revenue sales actually carried out from the beginning of November last year till the end of the year for this client. And then over on the right, you'll see the cost. That's the ad spend of $8,500. So using our return on ad spend calculation, the conversion value divided by the cost, you'll see that the number with the yellow background is 8.69. That is the return on ad spend that they're getting. And an 8x and above for this particular client is profitable for them based on the background calculations that they've made. So we know that this is going to be profitable for them. It's maintaining an 8x profit to this day right now, 8x return rather on ad spend right now. And we know that that is a profitable figure for them. So we want to keep spending as long as we're getting that more money out than we're putting in. So let's say you're not in e-commerce and you're working with service-based businesses more. You're probably going to want a different kind of result. You're probably going to want phone calls or someone on your website, like someone filling out a quote form or just a general contact store like you would with e-commerce. Well, you assign a value and you do another small amount of math. So bring on the math jokes if you have some more there. We're going to use an example of Joe, the computer technician. We're going to assume he gets, on average, for a job, $200 for a quick computer tune-up. And let's say we've had a conversation with Joe, the computer technician, and he says, okay, out of every 10 phone calls that I get when someone sure to be a job, like definitely they're going to show up and they're going to give me their computer and I'm going to make money from them, 1 out of 10. So we're going to take that average job number, $200, and we're going to multiply it by the conversion rate, the number of calls out of all the calls that are going to be successful. So multiplying that together, we can calculate that the value of one lead for Joe, the computer technician, is going to be $20. Do we have someone's mic on? Shalane, could you check that, please? I'm just hearing some rustling. If it's me, please call me out on it.
It was Lonnie. He's now muted.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So Joel, the computer technician, we can now say, all right, that's $20 we're getting in the value of a lead, because we know 10 of them is going to get one job of $200. So now you can just do the same calculation by looking at the conversion value that you'll assign on Google Ads and do the return on ad spend, do the background calculations we went over a minute ago, and make sure that you're getting that profitable return on ad spend for your own business or your client's business. And you can just plug these values in. If you are doing this though, make sure you're using up-to-date figures all the time, because seasonality can affect conversion rates. The markets can change for various businesses. You might start selling higher ticket items as your business, that average could go up. So make sure you're using up-to-date figures if you are calculating return on ad spend out in this way for a service-based business. Has this all made sense so far? And do we have any questions? Because this is the stuff that can be a bit confusing sometimes.
So yeah, we have some people who are feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the math part and the equation part. So for those of you who have mentioned that, if you have any questions about that, drop it in the chat. And Sam can answer them throughout the slides here so that we can keep on top of things. But you can also ask them in the Q&A afterwards.
Excellent. Great. Okay, so yeah, we can get to some of those questions, fire them in the chat. If you do start to wrap your head around some of this stuff, you can be assured that you've laid a strong foundation for your business and your Google Ads account, because if you get some of this stuff figured out, then you're on the road to a profitable Google Ads account. And the biggest thing I've seen for people who've tried Google Ads and been burned by it, and they've lost money, usually they've not got some of these core calculations worked out. They don't know what their margins are. They don't know what their average value of a lead or a sale is for them. They don't know what return on ad spend is profitable for them. And so they throw money at Google hoping for good results and often don't get what they want. So this is really key stuff. So please ask questions and we can dive into some of those throughout. But with all of that aside, we're going to get into the juicy, really enjoyable stuff. So question I ask when I look at ad copy, and my team member John, who's here on the call, we like to ask is like, where's the juice? Where am I feeling something if I'm interacting with an ad that someone's put together on Google? And we're just going to focus on text ads here. There are lots of different types of ads. You've got display ads, you've got video ads for YouTube that comes within the Google Ads ecosystem. We're just going to focus on some text ads here. So here we've got a mountain bike shop that's running an ad. And right off the bat, you can just see a lot of repetition and it's fairly uninspired ad copy. So we've got explore a range of mountain bikes with a range of different features to suit all budgets. Wow, I definitely want to buy a bike after reading that. Not particularly, because what's going to happen if you're not really injecting feeling and emotion into your ads, like this lady here, you're just going to look the other way and find something else. And the same as this poor guy here, you're not going to get the result that you're really after when it comes to running your Google Ads. So we want to inject some feeling, some emotion into the creative that we're building. So I'm going to use a really, really, really simple example here, just to get the point across that you want to hit the emotions first, and then any features can come afterwards. So this is a client of ours. It's a PR agency. And we've done a lot of work to really connect with the target market here. It's a millennial run PR agency. And so, of course, the target market is business owners who are traditionally more millennial as well from their current portfolio. And so right off the bat, we're talking to their heart. And we're saying we're an ethical public relations firm. We care about doing things the right way. Then it talks about promoting your cause. Then contact us. So it's focusing on what's important to that person or that business first before offering the solution. And as we get into the description as well, we use imagery, we use emotive language. We were saying, launch your small business to new heights with a PR agency that really cares about your purpose, what's important to you. After that, we've got the features. We've got partner with X and enjoy 300% returns from your PR agency. So we want to make people feel something first. Once we made them feel something, we know that they're going to be paying attention. And then we can talk about, hey, we can get you these results, by the way, but you're only ever going to get them to listen to that if you've made them feel something first. So if you've not had any work done on your ad copy or creatives, then you probably want to spend a bit of time there to make sure that it is engaging people emotionally in the first place, to push that past that barrier, because you've got loads of people competing on Google Ads. And if you're going to make any headway at all, you're not going to get profitable Google Ads by writing dry ad copy or taking shortcuts on it. So there will be some slides available for everyone who's watching this. And so we're going to leave this tool in here that we like to use. It's called the Wheel of Emotions. And we like to have this in view whenever we're creating copy to make sure we're engaging people emotionally before we try and talk about any of the specific features or more logical things that people might be interested in. So moving on from emotions, getting more into the cold, calculated killer AI, we're going to have a look at what's going on in AI with Google. Well, a lot of us, if we met an AI robot, we might kind of look at it like Will Smith's looking at iRobot here, and maybe with good reason. What I'm going to do is kind of walk you through the history of AI. And I'll preface it first by saying Google's investing a lot of money in this. Google acquired an AI company in 2014, and they spent over $600 million acquiring that AI company. And they're able to write off all the losses on that AI company while using that technology for the most profitable part of their business, which is a pretty nice business move, if you ask me. But when it comes to AI, it's getting really, really, really advanced, and Google's really pouring powerful AI technology into the Google Ads interface to do a lot of the heavy lifting that is a bit harder for us mere mortals. But in terms of the history lesson I want to give you, have a look at this guy. This is Garry Kasparov, a grandmaster chess champion, and this picture was taken in 1997 when he was beaten by an AI for the first time. No one thought a computer would ever be able to do this. This was a massive moment for AI and humanity. Pretty terrifying for some, but pretty interesting and cool at the same time. Now, it might seem a bit scary to consider that machines can beat us at things that we used to be primarily good at, that were things that only we could do. But another really cool thing to keep in mind is it's not the end of the story. Continuing with the chess analogy, if an AI and a grandmaster are working side by side, that grandmaster and the AI can beat the computer by itself every single time. So we need to really learn to work with the machine, because together we're really, really powerful. If we're against each other, it's not going to work, but together we can produce amazing results, transform businesses and change teams. And that's what we like to do with the work that we do with Google Ads. So I'm going to jump back to the example that I had from our client that I showed you earlier, where I was showing you the return on ad spend figure there. Now, what's really, really cool about Google Ads is the AI strategies that we're able to use can very potently figure out what's going to work in the future based on lots of data points. And how that works is Google takes like 70 million data points, and in 0.1 of a second can figure out that ad needs to get shown to this person right now because they're ready to buy based on what they've been looking up online and lots of other things as well. Time of day, demographic, all sorts of things. And we can calculate 70 million data points in 0.1 of a second. So the AI can do some of this stuff a lot better. Now, this is a Google shopping campaign that we're looking at here, and the return on ad spend is over 8x consistently. And the reason for that is we're using an automated AI-driven bidding strategy called target return on ad spend. So we say to the machine, hey, we want this return on ad spend, but the problem that we run into is we can't always get the results that we want by just saying to the machine, hey, we want this certain return on ad spend. So for this particular client, when I took on the account, we were showing on this account that the AI-driven strategy was showing up at like 11x return on ad spend. And I had a conversation with the business owner and I said, hey, it looks pretty good, 11x return on ad spend. I think Google can accomplish that over time consistently, but I think it will be easier for Google to hit a lower target that's still profitable for you, because we might only get 10 sales a month at 11x return on ad spend. But if we reduce that, Google might find its stride and generate more sales for you and shift more product for you. So that's exactly what we did. So I talked to the business owner and they said, hey, I think an 8x return on ad spend would be profitable for us. So let's stick with that. As soon as we did that, we saw very, very consistent results. Google's hitting this again and again and again, very, very, very consistently. 8x return on ad spend and above, really, really easily. And so from November till the end of last year, we got them $74,000 in revenue. And that's carrying their online sales right now. That's getting them most of their revenue for people interacting with them online. So this is very, very powerful stuff, and it can really transform businesses. Now, the AI also has some sneaky tricks up its sleeve. If you select the wrong or less effective aspect of it. And this is going to segue into the last point we have on making sure your Google ads are profit focused, because I get into Google ads accounts and I feel like Google's doing this all the time and it drives me nuts. So how is it doing it with AI? Well, if you remember at the beginning of the presentation, are we getting some good stuff in the chat here, Shalane?
Yep.
Awesome. So when it comes to AI and Google siphoning our ad spend, you might remember at the start of the presentation, I talked about clicks and impressions, those minor metrics not being so important, and us really wanting to focus on the results that matter, that drive revenue and profit for our business. Well, that's nice, and Google lets you get results and optimize for results, but Google also lets you optimize for impressions. If you want to go to Google and say, hey, I just want to be at the top of the page and be seen by as many people as possible, then you can do that, and Google will take your money all day, every day. But you can't guarantee that the people that are looking at that ad are actually going to take action or even click at all. So be very, very careful. Here's an example on one of our Google Ads accounts where it's comparing the amount of time this account is at the top of the page compared to other advertisers in the space. And what will happen if you're interacting with a Google Ads rep, read Google Ads salesperson here, they'll get on the phone with you and say, hey, you could be showing up at the top of the page way more. Why don't you try top impression share? You could get better results. But it probably won't. So this is a vanity metric. Be careful. If you are going to use it with extreme caution. Something that's a little better, but you still want to be careful with, is maximize clicks. That's another automated bidding strategy that's AI driven that Google uses, where Google says, with your budget, we'll get you as many clicks as possible. Now, this can get some results, but you also can't guarantee, again, the quality of the clicks that are coming through. And an example of this is I've seen in accounts where, say, there's a budget of $5,000 ad spend a month. By near the end of the month, the account's only spent about $3,500 or so. And so there's room. And Google's like, I see that click over there that I could charge you $500 or $600 for. So let's do that. And boom, one click costs you a few $100s, and it might not even lead to a result that you want. So maximize clicks can be good on a smaller budget to get some initial traction and get some juice and get things going and understand your user behavior when someone is interacting with an ad. But again, please use it with caution, because it's a great way for Google to melt that credit card. So next thing I want to focus on for stopping Google siphoning cash is some automatically applied suggestions that Google likes to throw into the mix here. So for new accounts, this is automatically set. You can find it in all campaigns and then account settings if you're in a Google Ads account. And this is really dangerous, actually, because what happens here essentially is Google makes automatic AI-based decisions and says, hey, I think this aspect of your Google Ads account could be tweaked. I think I could as an AI write really good ad copy. AI is really bad at writing ad copy. Never let the AI write ad copy. But loads of things that Google thinks can actually impact your Google Ads account in a positive way. Google will say, hey, we're just going to automatically apply that in 14 days if you don't say anything, because we think it's going to be good. Now, that's impossible. Google does not know your business or your client's business's individual needs and goals. And so this doesn't lead to the best results from what I've seen. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your finger on the pulse, that you're keeping things profitable. You know what's going on in your account. You don't want to log into your account in 2 months' time and see, all these changes have been made and it's not actually good for my business. So that's one to look out for. And the very last one I'll point out is if you're running display ads or video ads, you'll often be using placement targeting where you'll want to show up on lots of places, but Google makes it a bit hard to exclude places you don't want to show up. So one of the top things that we see in terms of wasted ad spend for people we do audits for and our clients is we'll often see a lot of mobile apps showing up in the traffic. So people have found the ad on a mobile app. And initially it looks really good. It's like, whoa, we've got so you'll see some click-through rates there like 50 and 30%. But when you've got the big numbers and hundreds and thousands of people clicking on these things, it drops down to like 10 to 20% click-through engagement rate. And that looks fairly good. But what's actually happening is someone's playing their game on their phone and they're clicking and they're clicking and they're clicking. The game finishes or they move on to another level. They're still clicking and they click on an ad. They're not in a buying state. They're not ready to interact with your business or your client's business. So this is a number one area to just cut out completely, in my opinion. You can do that by excluding placements, and you can exclude app categories that you don't want to show up for. So that's one of the things that we see a lot of. And yeah, that's the final thing I have to say on making sure that you're staying profitable with Google Ads. If you exclude some of these things, avoid some of these pitfalls where Google is siphoning money from you, then you will get that wider profit over time and end up with more money in your pocket instead of Google's pocket. So we've gone through a lot of stuff. Some of you are maybe in a whirlwind, especially with some of the math here. And we've really just touched the tip of the iceberg. Of course, all of you have your own businesses or are working on your clients' businesses, and you have your individual needs. So what I've done, I'm really excited about this, is I would love to help some of you out with your Google Ads if possible. And what I've done is I've opened up 10 slots in my calendar for people to book free consultation calls with us. Now, for 5 of you, the first 5 people that sign up, we're going to get the team a lot more involved and really help you get off to a strong start in 2022 for your Google Ads and really get the results that you're looking for. Now, what are we going to include in that? Well, with the first 5 calls booked, I want to really congratulate you for taking massive action and really wanting to drive results in your business and take advantage of the biggest piece of the digital marketing pie that is available for you or your clients' businesses. And so in addition to that 45-minute consultation call, which is worth $500 if you get it out with of this webinar, we'll also be providing a group coaching session that's profit focused with those 5 people. That's going to be worth $300. We'll have some amazing people that are on this call right now there, and you'll be able to interact with them at a deeper level. We'll be able to discuss real problems in real time and look at solutions and really up levels everyone's knowledge of Google Ads over the course of that 45 minutes. We're also going to, for those first 5 people that book, include a full Google Ads account audit. Now, this is super, super valuable. When I do audits for clients, they often have months of optimization recommendations that will, week after week, get their Google Ads more and more and more profitable over time. So this is massively valuable. So if you're going to be someone who's going to book a call here, I'd definitely move very quickly because these are very, very useful if you are running Google Ads or are thinking about it. And then I'm also going to throw in 4 fresh new ads for you or your clients' Google Ads accounts. And that's worth $200. And John here will be writing those himself. So we have all of these things that we're very, very excited to offer to you. Over $2,000 of value for free for those first 5 people. For the next 5 people, you will still be able to get that consultation call, but please move quickly. We're going to throw some links up here for you to sign up to that. You'll see a lot of availability through the end of this week and then Tuesday, Wednesday next week. But after those 10 people have booked calls, we are going to have to turn people away. So if you do want to take advantage of this, then please move very, very quickly. And in fairness, I'm going to give a count of 3. We're going to have Shalane throwing the link in the chat. We're going to have the link on the screen and then also a QR code as well. So if you're ready to upgrade things in 2022 for your Google Ads, then get ready. 1, 2, 3. All right. So
the link has been posted in the chat.
Awesome. Sweet. So hopefully we will see some of you on those calls. And in the meantime, let's get some Q&A going. I think we've got 5-10 minutes to do that.
Okay, so one question we had come through during the presentation. Let me just find it here. Wow, the chat was going crazy. Okay, so Ariana Henry said, how do you use the wheel of emotions?
Really good question. John, you are our master copywriter. Would you like to speak to that for a minute or two? I think we'll need to unmute John, Shalane.
There we go. Thanks,
There we
Shalane. Yeah, so basically the Wheel of Emotions basically just gives you the ammo to equip your ads with that emotional pool. So it's a list of a bunch of different emotions that you can incorporate into your ad copy to trigger an emotional response from your prospective customers or clients. So I'd recommend taking a look at that again when we share the slides with you, and maybe writing some new ads and incorporating those emotions in there and seeing how that compares with your current ad copy and maybe some of the results you get off the back of that.
Awesome. All right, what else do we have?
All right. Well, we had a bunch of people commenting that the numbers were a bit overwhelming.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe go into how people can calculate the value of their lead a bit more, because that seemed to be a question as well. Just how to actually go about that.
Sure. So this, of course, depends on what kind of business you're running. I'm going to use an example of like a service-based business because the value of the lead is an extra step to calculate. Now, you might have multiple tiers of service that you're offering, or you might have several service offerings that really fit into different things that people would be searching for in Google. So you may be able to hone in the accuracy of the value of a lead depending on different services that you're offering. But for simplicity's sake, we'll just talk about one service that you're offering. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to, for that particular service, look at the last year or two of the average that you're getting in revenue for offering that service for yourself or your client. And once you've calculated that figure, it could be $200, it could be $500. Then you want to use that as your very first metric. You'll say, okay, this is the average value that it is for my service. Now, when you're getting results from Google Ads, you'll be getting leads if you're a service-based business. So you'll be getting calls in, you might be having people interact and submitting a form on your website. And for those people, only so many of them are going to actually take action and buy your service. So you'll want to calculate the percentage of those people that are converting and actually taking that action. So say it's 10% of those people. So like 1 out of every 10 calls actually gets you that service. You just simply multiply those figures. You take that average service value of like $200, you multiply it by 10%, that's $20. So you know your lead is going to be worth $20, because if you're on Google Ads and you get 10 leads in during a month, then you know at least one of them is going to be a $200 sale. So you average it out to $20 per lead, and that gets you really accurate. So you can then say, okay, so I know that I've roughly generated this much revenue for the number of leads. So say, for example, the value of that lead is $10 and you generate 100 in the course of that month, then you can roughly say that you've generated $1,000 in value in potential revenue for your business. Is that making a bit more sense? Or have I just confused you even more?
Does anyone have any follow-up questions on that? Or does anyone want to actually shout out their number and have us work through it live? Because this is something with
Yes,
clients
absolutely.
we run into a lot, where it's super important to know this number, you guys, because once you know it, it's, you know, aside from Google Ads, it's something you can shape everything around, from your pricing to what you want to offer next to different packages. So does anyone have some numbers they want to shout out? And live right now, we can start working through it. Any takers? You're all awfully quiet.
What about you, Josh? Do you have an example that we could use? If we could unmute Josh.
Oh, Josh, hold on. I'm coming. Okay.
Hi guys. I really love the presentation, and I'm looking forward to hopefully talking to you guys more on it. Do I have a number? I was in the middle of typing a question. So what was the number you were looking for? I beg your pardon, Samuel.
So like the average value of a sale for you.
Well, so my business is service based, so I like do videos for other companies.
Okay.
And so maybe say an average would be like £1,000, although it goes between 500 and thousands, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we'll use £1,000 as an average, and out of the people that are sent your way, leads in terms of like phone calls, emails showing up in your inbox, people interacting with you on your website, what percentage of them that come to you do you think actually end up being a client of yours and generating that average of £1,000?
I'd say for people who get in touch with me, I'm not sure what my metrics are for just people who look at my website and stuff like that, but for people who get in touch, probably about 4 and 5 will get. I'll make a video for them. We'll do business together. But I don't. That sounds like a really good number, but there's not actually. I wish I had more people getting in touch. Is the situation for my company?
Gotcha. Okay, so if we're bringing in traffic from Google, it might be a little bit lower than like just the word of mouth that you're getting. So let's say it's 50% rather than 80%. So 50% of the people that get in touch are going to end up being a client. So we take that £1,000 figure and we multiply it by 50%. That means the average of a lead the average value of a lead for you is £500. So that means when you get a lead, it's going to be worth £500 to you, because you know if you get 2 of those, you're going to close one of them.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And then from that figure, then you can calculate your return on ad spend. And then with those other background calculations, figure out what return on ad spend is profitable for you, and therefore how much are you willing to spend overall on a lead in the first place.
This might be a bit of a silly question, but the question I was kind of wondering about was how do we differentiate between, if it's a service-based thing? I mean, it could be more simple, I suppose, if people follow an ad, buy a product off the website, you could perhaps follow the money trail there. But for me, how would I know that the profit that I got on a job came from the ad? I mean, of course, I guess, like, how would I know that?
Good question. So that happens in the conversion tracking point. So you want to make sure that you're accurately measuring the results that you want people to take. And when you plug that into Google Ads, we can follow if someone's clicked on an ad and then taken an action, we know for sure if that's happened.
But how would you know? Because the action could be, as in, would I have to log it? Which would be fine if I do have to do that. But say the action is they go on my website and then they call me, you know? How is that tracked?
That's a good question, Josh. So we have the functionality in Google to use what's called a Google forwarding number, which is really, really cool. So what that means is if someone goes onto your website and then they see your website, but they don't actually click on anything or interact, but they pick up the phone and they call the number that they see, then Google replaces that with a Google forwarding number. So we can track it really accurately, even if they don't actually click on anything on the site. Does that answer your question?
100%. Yeah.
Awesome.
And sorry if it's a bit of a layman question. I don't actually have.
No. It's great. It's great. It's a common one. And yeah, it's really valuable to figure that out because it means suddenly you can track if someone's calling you without them even interacting with your website with clicks. Very powerful. Good question.
Just another bit there as well, Josh, is obviously I'm quite familiar with your website. So you've got a submission form on there as well. That's like another conversion action that, say, if you ran a Google Ads campaign, you'd just set up that submission form as a conversion action and you track entries through that as well. So there's a bunch of different ones you could set up for your particular website.
Cool.
Okay. Hello,
Awesome.
Samuel. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mohammed. What's your question?
Okay, thank you for the presenting, Mr. Samuel. Actually,
my pleasure.
Okay. Actually, my question is about the conversion tracking code. Actually, about the WhatsApp button. Okay. So how it could be possible that when he pressed on the WhatsApp button, okay, how will the conversion tracking code will track the conversion? Okay. يعني can we make a conversion with the WhatsApp button or not?
So is this situation, you have your website and then you have an option to exit out the website and go onto WhatsApp? Is that the action you want people? Is the action that you're wanting people to take someone being on your website and then seeing the option to interact with you via WhatsApp and clicking a link that takes them to talk with you on WhatsApp?
Yes, that's right. It's a plugin. I think it's a WordPress plugin. I'm talking about a WordPress plugin. So he will press on the button, on the WhatsApp button, and that will take him a new tab. Okay. So the new tab will be the conversion. Yeah, that will be the conversion tracking will be on it.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
So yes. So if you have a link that goes to something else, like say you have a link that says, all right, if I click here, I'll get all the information I need to contact them on WhatsApp, and that opens a new page. If that opens a new page, then we can track that new page has been opened. You just want to make sure that you only have that page dedicated to happening when someone clicks on that WhatsApp link. And then we can track to see if someone's clicked on an ad and then clicked on that WhatsApp link and then landed on a thank you page with all the information.
Okay, so the thank you page will be the verification.
Yes.
Of the tracking code, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Samuel.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for your question, Mohammed.
Okay, are there any other questions? We have had our hour with you guys, so thank you so much for giving us your most precious commodity, which is your time. So totally understand if you guys need to hop off, but we will stay on for a bit longer if there are more questions. So you can either put those in the chat or shout them out on video if you have them. But also love to hear anything that stood out to you the most from this presentation.
All right, we good on questions then?
I think so. Should we call it a afternoon?
Let's call it an afternoon. Well, thank you everybody for showing up. This has been really, really fun. And